Of course, the modernization of the Army of North Macedonia is one of the most top priorities, of course, for me as a Minister of Defense, especially because I'm pretty much aware, even probably I will be among the youngest here in this room. I'm aware that the defense system of a country cannot be built in a one day or even in a 1 year. It takes a lot of time and, of course, a lot of energy. So what is a good news in North Macedonia is that we are increasing all year by year the defense budget. So for the next year we will reach the 2%. But which is even more important, that we don't have just the 2% for the defense, but it's the way how we are spending those money. And more than 30% of that budget will be spent in the modernization of the army. So our first priority, of course, is building the capabilities of the Light Infantry Battalion Group, which is our NATO capability target, and of course reaching all the other NATO capability targets. But it's also very important because we have recently very good discussions, positive discussions in Macedonia regarding to this, is that every investment that we are making in the defense is not the investment that we are making just because we are a country who is member state of NATO. But first of all, we are making to increase our national defense system and of course also to contribute to the collective defense system in NATO. Because being a NATO country is not that we should be safe and secure because we are part of that collective system of defense, but also is a way how we are contributing to that system. We are happy from the political point of view. I'm happy that North Macedonia is no longer the latest country who has joined NATO. We are welcoming every enlargement of NATO, of course, based on the rules and the procedure, because in this very important circumstances that the world is facing with, the conventional war on the European soil, but also all the other kinds of wars, like hybrid threats and everything that we are facing as countries, is very important that we are sending a very strong message that NATO alliance is even more stronger and more bigger. And I think that this is the direction that we are going in. Speaking of the defense these days is not just speaking about the weapons, it's more than that. So the Ministry of Defense, starting from the last year, was actually when the invasion in Ukraine started, was one of the targets as institution of the Russian provocations and disinformation war in North Macedonia, the aim was to undermine the authority of the Ministry of Defense and of course personally me as a Minister of Defense. And then I made the decision that the best way to fight with the disinformation or any kind of malign influence in the country is to be transparent. So to answer more as questions are asked to the ministry or to me, and to explain everything in details about what is happening in the ministry. And I will give you several examples how the Russian malign influence is working, unfortunately, in North Macedonia, although we are working on a lot of mechanisms how to strengthen the capacities and the resilience not only of the institutions but also of the society, which is even more important. When the invasion started, North Macedonia had a very clear position from the first moment. And of course we started with delivering the different kind of ammunition and weapons as a donation to Ukraine. Then immediately were released several headlines in the media in North Macedonia that the army of North Macedonia is the weakest in the world. So the aim of those was actually to undermine the institution and for the people, for the public in North Macedonia, to have this impression that we are giving away the weapon that we need on the one side, and that we are weakening our own capacities. So of course, this takes a lot of time to explain to the public, to the journalists, but we win that fight. You are asked the question how we should build our resilience. The first thing is to be aware where the Russian influence in North Macedonia is coming from, and we are pretty much aware of that. Secondly, what is needed is to have a very clear political dedication that we want to fight with this Russian malign influence, and we have that in North Macedonia. And third, of course, to take certain measures and activities, and we do that. In the past several years, we have declared more than 20 persons like persona non grata in North Macedonia, which were part officially from the staff of the Russian embassy, but actually they were interfering with negative impact, of course, in the domestic affairs and the work of the institutions. So I think that if we are continuing to send these clear messages and clear actions, that we will win the fight with the Russian malign influence, which of course I will underline that Russia, as well as the all countries, are aware what are the weaknesses of North Macedonia, but also of the countries from the region, Western Balkan. But likely the countries who are the Western democracies, I will call, they're trying to help us to overcome those weaknesses. Russia is using them, unfortunately, as a way how to deepen even more the problems and create in a certain moment where it's not needed a crisis in the region.